we believe firmly that there is no way to transform a space with as much impact as you can with artwork. It's really an extension of personal style. It's such an essential part of design that no home should be without it. As art collectors and art lovers, as well as dealers, we have a lot of artwork in our home, and people respond to it very differently in a home environment than they do in an art gallery.
And I think that's what's sort of very important about the way that you can elevate your space by using art and using contemporary art. It doesn't need to be something you're afraid of. So you can actually bring contemporary art into your house, and you can mix it with old and new, and in a way that is interesting and charming and fun, and that's kind of what we're all about. So we thought it would be fun to work with House and Home and to basically set up a room and show it 6 different ways how the artwork can actually really change a room and almost make it feel like an entirely different person is living in each of the different rooms.
And so what we decided to do was to change up the artwork in a few personal touches, but keeping absolutely everything in the room the same. The sofa, all of the large static pieces just absolutely do not change. The Katy Pretty pieces that we featured in this first look are actually over 9 feet tall. And so not everybody has that kind of ceiling height to be able to actually lift the piece off the floor, but leaning a piece on the floor creates a really beautiful effect. And people are often afraid to put furniture in front of paintings, but this is a perfect example of how you can absolutely do that. There really are no rules. Sometimes you may want to paint the wall or put up wallpaper, but this is a way to create large expanses of color and texture within a room without actually doing anything permanent. It creates such a beautiful backdrop for a really soft, yet still dramatic look.
And the dark encaustic wax piece by John Smilek really is a fantastic one.
Because it's encaustic wax as opposed to paint, it's highly textured, so it really catches the light so it doesn't feel flat.
People are afraid sometimes of really dark artwork, and this is a perfect example of how a one entirely black piece just with texture can actually not feel dark and oppressing. These Elaine Lafort pieces worked out really nice. It almost seems like you're looking out into a beautiful paradise.
Absolutely, and as our city becomes more dense, and quite often your only window faces another building or faces a brick wall, this is a really effective way to bring that feeling and serenity of green and nature into a room, but still feels very contemporary and very slick.
Well, the one thing we really liked about the fourth look is actually the fact that you have a canvas thing hanging off the wall, and it's almost breathing, and it's weighted down on top by this heavy wood beam that actually came from an 1894 barn.
It's also really nice to introduce people to the idea that a work of art can be displayed in so many different ways, that just because it's a painting on canvas doesn't mean that it has to be, on a stretcher or even within a frame. It's actually quite nice to almost use the painting as a tapestry.
And this painting actually is one that I created. Neon pieces thrush homes, we love it. Nothing says sophisticated, urban dweller more than a neon art piece in your house. And then we like to offset it with the 2 pieces by David Bugozzi. Both kind of a play on the flames, and you've got a moth and a bug. Each piece is a conversation, and how you hang those pieces is very important.
Words can be taken and interpreted in so many different ways, and so it's really fun to play with that.
We've sort of fallen in love with Adrian Williams' work. He's one of the founding members of the Royal Art Lodge, and have sort of collected his pieces over the years. Now, in the last vignette, we love to display them in a way that was kind of a fun way of doing it, where you're actually pinning them onto the actual wall.
There's nothing more interesting than having a really contemporary, cool rock and roll piece inside a really traditional environment, and vice versa.
We wanted to step that up a notch by putting these big gold frames on it, which are kind of out of style, but at the same time, when you collide it with a contemporary piece, it kind of seems to work.
A series or a collection of small work can create a really large, beautiful, interesting impact on a large wall, and this is a really interesting way to do it. There really is no right or wrong way to art style a room. It really is about breaking convention, and it's about taking chances and not necessarily letting the furniture dictate the artwork within a room, because the artwork can really stand on its own, and then everything else can fall into place afterwards.
The art can be elevated and should be elevated, and it's a very important part of that room. It's amazing how that can come together in a way that just really sings and makes sense.